Welcome to the Ronge Photo Show for 2008. This is our second annual, sponsored by the Mostly in Focus Photo Club. And we'd like to invite you to come down and see the photos if you hadn't had time yet. First, I'd like to thank the Ronge Arts Council for the time and the space in this gallery. We're in Mestasnik Place, the provincial government building on Ronge Avenue. And you can come in anytime. You'll have to sign in with the commissionaire in the evening to get into the building. But basically, you can come in and see the show anytime. I'd like to start with the first photo here from Annette Finlayson, or I'm sorry, Margaret Irving. This is Margaret Irving's photo of a reflection of the back end of an NRT truck. And it has a wonderful reflection that doesn't include her because of the shape of the back of the truck. So you've got a really wonderful image and very nice exposure. Margaret said she shot this while she was driving, so she's got quite a steady hand to get a photo like this and have it in such good focus and with good exposure. The next photo is by Jordan Mackay, and it's been printed in two different ways. It's a scene in Calgary at night, so it's a time exposure, and which means he's holding open the shutter, and there's a little bit of hand motion there as well as the motion of the traffic and the lightning strike. So you get a very dramatic photo, and when you print it in two different ways, you've got two lovely images. He's also used the rule of thirds, and for those who are not familiar with photography with that guideline, if you just draw 3 lines up and down and 2 lines across, so you divide a photo into 3 in each direction. The points where the lines cross is where your eye will travel to, and that gives the most impact if you can put the most interesting piece of the photo in one of those spots. And Jordan's used that rule to a very good effect here. Barb Morrow took this photo on Tofino Island, and it's a picture of kids playing in the water. And she's done a wonderful job on the exposure and the composition of the photo, and she's added interest with the frame by putting little shells and a little piece of driftwood as little souvenirs. So it's kind of a shadow box frame that will, in this case, it enhances the photo really nicely. Graham Guest caught this fellow water skiing, and he's taken advantage of the backlight, which means that he's standing he was on the side of the subject, and the sunlight is coming from behind. So it's really beautiful exposure of the water, and he had a shutter speed that caught the action, and he's used the rule of thirds fairly well here. And just a beautiful use of the light that was there, and caught the expression on the skier's face and the action of the spray of the water. So that's very nicely done. Barb Morrow has another picture here she called Grass Dancer, and just caught the curiosity of a kitten just beautifully. She used a very nice exposure to get the details of the lighter areas of the cat, the lighter fur, and the dark grass just kind of faded away a little bit, just kind of framing the subject very nicely. Barb also shot this photo of a little girl standing beside the tree, and there's very nice use of the light, which is highlighting the little girl's face and just a little area around the tree to show where she is, and just caught a very nice expression. She's also used the rule of thirds quite nicely, and along with the exposure, and also a very nice frame to highlight this photo. Margaret Irving caught a really interesting photo here. She found a stone that looks like a baby that's wrapped in a blanket, and she called it Stone Child. And she's got a lot of people who drop by here comment on, well, what does this mean? And they look at the photo and finally see the image of the baby. Margaret also shot this one and cropped it. She cut it out in a circle shape, and it really emphasizes nicely the foreground and the background, a little bit of tree leaves in there to give it interest and sort of give a depth, gives you I'll have to cut that out.
It frames the shot quite well, right? I mean, gives you the
Yes.
difference in depth there.
It gives you the depth of field. You sort of see how far away things are. And Margaret's done a very nice job on the exposure for this photo. There's a lot going on there. It's quite busy, but she did use the rule of thirds nicely. And the tree branches also help to frame the photo. And she cropped it. She cut out in a circle shape to emphasize the action in that photo. And probably there wasn't much going on or other details that really didn't show the harbor the way that she wanted to. So when she cut it out this way, that was a nice way to take out the extra detail and focus directly on what the action was. These three photos are by Margaret Irving, and she's asking, do you see what I see? And if you take a close look at it, you can see the silhouette of a face and kind of changing expression as it goes through the three photos. This is my photo of a spider web, and you have to get up early in the morning to catch the dew and to see spider webs like this. This was just taken in our ditch, and there were just a great number of beautiful spider webs one morning. I had to run and get the camera and shoot this one. So got a little too excited and sort of forgot about the rule of thirds. I was so excited about getting the spider web, but I was pretty happy with the exposure, and it shows it reasonably well. Warren Kelly did a beautiful photo here he called Renaissance Woman, and he also used the rule of thirds quite well. He's got, instead of having the woman's face just directly in the middle of the picture, he has moved the camera down a little bit and included a few other details in the camera, in the photo, and used the candlelight and the available light, I think maybe from a window, to just give it a very soft image. And the important parts of the photo are highlighted by the soft light, and then the darkness kind of softly covers the rest. And it's just a beautiful, nice mood given to the photo. Instead of using a flash or something to really show you all the details, just using the available light in this case really made a nice photo. Annette McCann went out shooting in the wintertime and got a beautiful shot here. And she also used the rule of thirds very nicely. She also used the tree branches as sort of a frame to frame the bright water. And you have a rock that's covered with snow on one side, and you have two or three points of interest, but very nicely put together. And it's also a very nice exposure for snow. There's an exposure we're talking about balancing the light parts and the dark parts of a photo. And sometimes you would like to enhance the darker parts and maybe have a little bit longer shutter speed to let more light into the camera, and that will bring out details in the dark areas. And the trick is to light those areas but not overexpose the light colored areas. If you leave the shutter open too long, the light areas kind of get fuzzy and bright and lose their detail. So it's a trick to sometimes get the bright exposure, and especially in winter shots. So Annette's done a really nice job on this one. Annette also shot the rice harvester in the sunset. Very nice use of rule of thirds. She underexposed it a little bit, which means the colors come out more brighter. It's called color saturation. And she balanced the detail of the rice harvester with the setting sun, and just gives it a beautiful, quiet, soft sunset. The lake happened to be very still that day, and the water just gave beautiful reflections. So she's used that to the advantage, to her advantage as a photographer. And when she used the rule of thirds, she divided up. Instead of having the horizon right in the middle of the photo, she moved it down a little bit, and that just gives it a little more interest. Jan Shuchuk.